You know, sometimes you're tracking global events and then bam, something just comes out of left field. It really makes you stop and think.
Definitely.
We've been digging into some, let's say, unexpected international moves lately, and there's this one specific YouTube video from the Ring of Fire that lays out some pretty, well, eye-opening allegations about the Gaza Strip.
That's right. We've both reviewed what the video presents and if their account holds water.
Mm.
The ripples for international policy, for, regional stability, they could be huge.
So our mission today basically is to unpack the core claims from that specific video, just understand what they're saying, and maybe see where these alleged events could potentially lead.
Exactly. Stick to what's presented in that source.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. The video kicks off with something that sounds maybe a bit dry at first, the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, or FCPA, but it seems pretty central to their argument.
It really is. The video zeroes in on the reported suspension of enforcement of this act, specifically under Donald Trump. Now, the FCPA, in simple terms, it's there to stop American individuals and companies from bribing foreign officials to get business deals.
Right. Prevents pay to play, basically.
Exactly. It's meant to keep things, ethical on the international business stage.
Okay, so the video's angle, if I'm following, is that suspending enforcement. Well, it kind of opens the door for American businesses to, let's say, grease the wheels a bit more freely with foreign officials. And the video implies this isn't exactly for everyone's benefit.
That's precisely the argument they make. The video explicitly claims this suspension is primarily, almost exclusively, for the benefit of the Trump family's own business dealings. Not a general policy shift, but targeted, according to that.
Yeah, a specific advantage. Okay. Now, this is where the story in the video gets interesting because it shifts focus to a meeting between Donald Trump and the King of Jordan. How does that connect to potentially bribing foreign officials?
Well, according to the video's narrative, just before this meeting happened, Trump had apparently been leaning on Jordan, pressuring them to take in a large number of Palestinians who would be relocated from Gaza.
Ah, okay.
And that is a critical link because it feeds directly into what the video presents as Trump's main goal, clearing the way to build luxury hotels right there in the Gaza Strip.
Wow. And the video even gives a direct quote they attribute to Trump from that meeting, supposedly with the King of Jordan right there. It says Trump said, we're just going to take the land, get the people off of it, and build luxury hotels. That's pretty blunt, if accurate.
It is very stark.
Yeah.
And the context, supposedly saying that with the King of Jordan present, it's certainly noteworthy. It suggests a very, let's say, direct style.
No kidding. Okay, so the video continues describing a reporter asking a question at the same meeting. Basically, how is the U.S. going to pay for Gaza? And Trump's response, as reported in the video, was also quite definitive.
Yeah, the video quotes Trump replying, "We're not going to buy anything. We're going to have it. We're going to keep it." And then right after that, he reportedly talked about, peace and economic development, specifically mentioning hotels and office buildings and housings.
So not buying it, just having it, keeping it. And when the reporter apparently pushed on, the legal grounds for just taking it, the video says Trump's answer was simply America's authority. That's a bold statement.
It is extremely bold.
What stands out to you about that whole reported exchange, assuming the video's account is, on the money?
Well, a couple things. First, the way economic development seems to be immediately defined as, hotels, office buildings, very specific kinds of construction. It aligns, as the video points out, with Trump's background.
Right, real estate.
Exactly. It suggests a particular vision for Gaza, very commercially focused. And second, that response about America's authority. I mean, it's a strong assertion, but viewed through the lens of international law, sovereignty, it obviously raises some huge questions.
Yeah, the video really hammers that point home, that Trump's real estate lens probably shapes how he sees development here, focusing on projects he knows.
That's definitely the interpretation the video puts forward. And it doesn't stop there. It speculates that, hey, if Gaza did somehow become available for this kind of development, you'd likely see other big players interested. Casino groups, resort chains. They even mentioned Disney potentially having an interest.
Which leads us straight to the massive, incredibly difficult issue. The millions of people actually living in Gaza right now. If the plan is luxury hotels, what about them? This is where the video's analysis gets pretty dark.
It does, because the core problem they highlight is, You simply can't do that kind of development without relocating a vast number of people. And the video notes correctly that historically, neighboring countries, Jordan included, haven't been willing to accept huge influxes of Palestinian refugees.
Okay, but this is where the video brings back that alleged suspension of the FCPA, the anti-bribery law, right? They're suggesting that's the key to getting around this resistance to relocation.
That's exactly the connection the video draws. It posits that suspending the FCPA could basically clear the path for offering, well, financial incentives, potentially outright bribes to officials in other countries, persuading them to accept the relocated populations from Gaza. The argument is, even sums that might seem small to a wealthy nation could be incredibly significant in poorer countries, potentially making officials willing to take in displaced people when they otherwise wouldn't be.
So the video sees the timing as crucial. The FCPA enforcement suspension, these alleged comments about taking the land, the meeting with Jordan, it all lines up, in their view, as part of a plan. Get the land for development and use financial leverage, potentially illicit leverage, to deal with the population displacement.
That's the video's conclusion, yes. They argue the sequence of events strongly suggests a deliberate strategy to secure Gaza for these specific development goals.
And the video doesn't mince words about its opinion on this alleged strategy. It calls it a disaster waiting to happen and a corrupt, horrific thing. Very strong language from this source.
Extremely strong.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the main allegations and interpretations from this particular Ring of Fire video, just so we're clear on what they presented.
Sure. Basically, the video claims, 1, Trump suspended FCPA enforcement, mainly for his family's benefit. 2, he pressured Jordan to accept Palestinians from Gaza. 3, his goal was to seize Gaza land for luxury hotels, stating an intention to just take and keep it using America's authority. And 4, the FCPA suspension could be the tool used to bribe other nations into accepting the displaced population. The video frames this whole thing as deeply corrupt and dangerous.
It's definitely a disturbing scenario they paint. Now, again, crucial reminder for everyone listening. This deep dive focused only on the claims and views presented in this one YouTube video from the Ring of Fire. It's their specific take, their analysis.
Absolutely essential point. And it naturally leads to a bigger question, one for you, the listener, to really think about. And it's a big if things unfolded, as this video alleges, what would the broader consequences be? For international law, for human rights norms, for the whole geopolitical situation in the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's not a simple question. It involves layers of international relations, ethics, stability. It really warranted careful consideration and, frankly, looking at many more sources beyond just this one video.
Absolutely right. Definitely food for thought and maybe a nudge for you to explore further, get different perspectives. Our aim here always is just to give you a shortcut to understanding a specific piece of information, maybe spark some curiosity. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.